I can't fetch or verify latest information from the live web in this chat. What I can do is, one, flag the key factual claims in the script that would require verification from reliable sources, e.g. U.S./UK government statements, IRGC statements carried by Iranian state media, shipping advisories on the Strait of Hormuz, and two, rewrite the material you provided into a journalist-style Part 1 that preserves the major quoted statements verbatim while keeping the tone natural and avoiding outdated titles. # Part 1. Introduction, hook, and first half, approximately 250 words. Tensions around the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most strategically important choke points for oil shipments, are spiking again. This time with rhetoric that is unusually explicit about targeting civilian infrastructure and with signals that diplomatic back channels have gone quiet. At the center of the escalation are threats and counter-threats between the United States and Iran, with Israel's military posture and reported strikes adding another combustible layer. The immediate flashpoint demands that Iran reopen the Strait of Hormuz after what the transcript describes as partial blockage amid intensifying confrontation paired with warnings from U.S. President Donald Trump that Iran faces catastrophic consequences if it does not comply by a deadline. In the transcript, Trump's language is stark, apocalyptic, and framed as imminent. In a social media post attributed to him, he wrote, * Donald Trump, a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. The post continued with an explicit call for leadership change in Iran, adding, * Donald Trump. However, now that we have complete and total regime change where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionarily wonderful can happen. Who knows? We will find out tonight. The transcript also attributes to T. Rump a separate set of remarks delivered at a press conference threatening large-scale destruction of Iranian bridges and power plants on a tight timetable. The language is framed as both a coercive ultimatum and a promise of overwhelming force. * Donald Trump. We have a plan because of the power of our military where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again. He went on to claim the destruction could be executed quickly, * Donald Trump. I mean complete demolition by 12 o'clock, and it'll happen over a period of 4 hours if we wanted to. Asking, the transcript then depicts Trump oscillating between threats and suggestions of rebuilding while reiterating the deadline. Donald Trump, we don't want that to happen. We may even get involved with helping them rebuild their nation. But when pressed on a ceasefire, the answer offered no immediate off-ramp. * Donald Trump. We can't talk about ceasefire, but I can tell you that we have an active, willing participant on the other side. They would like to be able to make a deal. He added, * Donald Trump, they have till tomorrow. Now we'll see what happens. I can tell you they're negotiating, we think, in good faith. Then, tightening the screw again, he said, Donald Trump, we're giving them till tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time, and after that, they're going to have no bridges, they're going to have no power plants, stone ages, yeah. Stone, Iran in the transcript responds through the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, the country's powerful security and military force, warning that previous restraint is over and that retaliation could expand beyond the immediate region. A statement carried by Iranian state media is quoted as saying the IRGC would no longer limit itself in choosing targets. * IRGC, the Revolutionary Guards once again declare that if the American terrorists crosses the red lines, our response will go beyond the region. The statement continues with a warning directed not only at the United States, but also at U.S. regional partners. * IRGC, America's regional partners should also know that until today, we've exercised great restraint for the sake of good neighborliness and had some reservations in choosing targets for retaliation. But all these reservations have since been removed. The transcript frames that message as more than rhetorical escalation. It describes an implied threat to energy security, suggesting that the U.S. and its allies could be deprived of regional oil and gas resources for an extended period, a scenario that would reverberate far beyond the Middle East. With the Strait of Hormuz serving as a conduit for a significant share of global energy supplies, even small disruptions can ripple through oil markets, shipping insurance rates, and inflation-sensitive economies. But perhaps the most alarming detail in the transcript is not only the threats, it's the claim that communication channels have broken down. Iranian officials are described as confirming that all diplomatic and indirect channels with Washington have been shut down, with message exchanges entirely suspended. If accurate, that would raise the risk of miscalculation when back channels fall silent, leaders lose a tool for clarifying red lines, deconflicting military moves, and preventing incidents from spiraling into a broader war. Against that backdrop, the transcript describes shocking images circulating online that purportedly show coordinated strikes on Iranian infrastructure, specifically bridges and oil-related facilities, carried out by the United States and Israel on April 7th. Those claims, as presented, include damage to rail links and disruptions to passenger travel. The transcript says heavy damage was reported to a rail bridge between Hashgerd and Tabriz after an Israeli strike, and that another strike in Kashan on a rail bridge reportedly killed 2 people. It also says the deputy governor of a province, rendered in the transcript as calm, told Iranian state television that the U.S. and Israel attacked a bridge near a province south of Tehran. The transcript further claims that train travel to and from Mashhad, identified as Iran's second largest city, was canceled until further notice after Israel warned Iranians not to use railways until 1730 GMT. It says these disruptions came hours after the Israel Defense Forces warned Iranians to stay away from trains, and it attributes to Israel's defense minister a directive to intensify attacks on Iranian infrastructure. The quote in the transcript is explicit. Asterisk, Israel Katz continues striking the national infrastructure of the Iranian terror regime with full force. Adam, separately, the transcript reports multiple explosions on Kharg Island, an essential hub for Iran's oil exports, after a reported U.S. attack. If such a strike occurred, it would represent a significant escalation. Kharg is not simply another site, but a key node in Iran's ability to export crude, and any sustained damage there would carry immediate implications for global supply expectations and the country's revenue lifeline. As the transcript tells it, the emerging pattern is a widening target set that extends beyond military facilities into transportation and energy infrastructure, precisely the category that legal experts often identify as fraught under international humanitarian law, depending on the nature of the target, its use, the proportionality of the strike, and the precautions taken to protect civilians. It's also in that legal and political context that the transcript introduces a major complication for Washington: friction with a close ally. According to the transcript, the United Kingdom is drawing a bright line on participation, with the government prepared to deny permission for the United States to use Royal Air Force bases for any strikes aimed at Iranian civilian infrastructure, such as bridges and power plants. The account describes the UK position as allowing U.S. access for defensive missions only, such as targeting missile launch sites that pose a direct threat to UK or allied interests, while rejecting involvement in attacks that would be framed as punitive or coercive strikes on civilian infrastructure. The transcript says the UK would deny any such request if made, and that the stance could deepen tensions between Trump and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The transcript also depicts Trump attacking Starmer personally, including by invoking one of the most loaded analogies in modern British political history: Neville Chamberlain, the prime minister associated with the pre-World War II policy of appeasement toward Adolf Hitler. In remarks shown in the transcript, Trump says, asterisk, Donald Trump, they have a long way to go. The UK has a long way to go. We don't want another Neville Chamberlain. Do we agree? We don't want Neville Chamberlain. Asterisk, the Chamberlain comparison is not just an insult. It's a framing device that casts restraint as weakness and paints any hesitation about military escalation as moral failure. In the transcript, it's presented as evidence of Trump's ongoing frustration with what is described as Starmer's skepticism about the aims and legality of the Iran war. At the same time, the UK position described in the transcript is not presented as a full rupture. It says Britain is still allowing U.S. use of certain bases, including Diego Garcia and RAF Fairford, but strictly for defensive operations, and it notes that as of now, no request had been made for U.S. use of those bases for the planned attacks referenced. Starmer in the transcript is portrayed as publicly drawing a line between alliance commitments and direct involvement in the conflict. In remarks included, he emphasizes NATO and national interest and rejects being pulled into a war not of Britain's choosing, asterisk, Keir Starmer. NATO is the single most effective military alliance the world has ever seen, and it has kept us safe for many decades, and we are fully committed to NATO. He then adds, asterisk, Keir Starmer, whatever the pressure on me and others, whatever the noise, I'm going to act in the British national interest in all the decisions that I make, and that's why I've been absolutely clear that this is not our war and we're not going to get dragged into it. Astic test, supportive of collective defense, resistant to offensive operations, highlights the dilemma now facing U.S. partners across Europe and the Middle East, how to protect their interests and deter attacks without being drawn into a widening campaign that could trigger retaliation, disrupt energy flows, and deepen humanitarian fallout. And as the transcript underscores, the question hanging over the region is no longer simply whether the Strait of Hormuz remains open, but how far the confrontation can go when leaders are making maximalist demands, when threats are directed at power grids and bridges, and when the channels designed to prevent catastrophic misunderstanding appear to be shutting down. End of part one. I can't fetch or verify latest information from the live web in this chat, so I'm not able to confirm in real time whether the quoted Trump posts, the reported April 7th strikes, the IRGC statement, or the UK basing decision are authentic as described. What I can do is, one, identify the specific claims that require verification against primary or high reliability sources, US/UK government readouts, IDF statements, Iranian state media transcripts, shipping advisories, satellite imagery, and reputable wire services. And two, produce part two as a journalist-style deep dive and conclusion that preserves the verbatim high-impact quotes you provided clearly attributed without repeating part one. Hash part two, detailed analysis, deep dive, and conclusive. On approximately 1,250 words, the confrontation described is escalating along three tracks at once: military pressure on infrastructure, maximalist political rhetoric, and a narrowing of diplomatic off-ramps. Taken together, those elements form a classic recipe for miscalculation, especially when deadlines are publicly announced and framed in civilizational terms. ###1, the strategic core, Hormuz, energy leverage, and the logic of coercion. At the center of the crisis is the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow maritime corridor connecting the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman and the wider Indian Ocean. Its significance is structural. A substantial share of seaborne oil and liquefied natural gas transits through it. Any sustained disruption, whether via mines, missile threats, drone attacks, seizures, or insurance-driven shipping slowdowns, can reverberate quickly through global prices, freight rates, and national strategic reserves. The transcript's escalation narrative hinges on coercion, the United States. Tez demanding that Iran reopen the strait by a deadline, and Iran signaling it could retaliate by widening the conflict and threatening energy flows. Even if the waterway is not physically closed, the mere perception that transit is unsafe can function like a closure. Shipping companies may pause sailings, reroute, or demand war risk premiums that effectively throttle volume. Iran's stated posture in the script is designed to communicate that it can impose costs not only on U.S. forces, but also on U.S. partners and global markets. The IRGC warning in the transcript explicitly links retaliation to regional energy deprivation and target selection. The most consequential line is the removal of restraint because it implies fewer boundaries on what constitutes a legitimate target. The quote that captures this shift as presented is *IRGC.